Okay, yeah, just knowing your live. Okay, here we go. All right, and I can go ahead and say this, say the prayer for this for this discussion here. So go ahead and say that. Heavenly Father, we're grateful for this day. We're grateful for the opportunity for us all to be here and be able to go over this group discussion for today. And Heavenly Father, we're very grateful for the opportunities we've had this semester to be able to go over this lesson or all these lessons and be able to learn new leadership skills, as well as to just learn more about this class. And Heavenly Father, please help us to have a great group discussion this week and have a great last group discussion. We say these things humbly in the name of our Lord and Savior, even Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, so this week for the group discussion, it was about the Jamie Turner at MLI Inc. And basically, what I got from this whole lesson was the fact that basically Jamie Turner, was like going into this new job, and then there was just a lot of problems that were happening between her and Pat Cardullo, which I don't remember if it said or not. Is Jamie and Pat both female? So I can actually say he or she throughout the whole time.
They're male.
They're both male.
They're both.
Yeah.
That's
Did we need to have Paul present first, though, so he could take off?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that first. In there.
Appreciate that. Okay, so hopefully I'm not going to get blacklisted by the school or the instructor by what I'm going to share. But, okay, so the accountability project, I got a late start on things, and so I never actually got any accountability partners. I had emailed the instructor and was hoping to get something set up, but nothing ever happened from that. And so that was one of my biggest downfalls, is I didn't have anyone to follow up with me on stuff. And I actually have to say that I'm kind of like, I guess I'm going to be a rebellious one. I'm not usually one to do that. But to me, a goal is something that you work toward. It's not something that should be forced upon you. And where we had to have consequences if we didn't do something, that just rubbed me the wrong way. And so I had a hard time with the whole concept of this accountability project. However, I will say that some very good things came out of it. So I'm supposed to share what I wanted to become. I wanted to, for one of my other classes, I had to make a personal mission statement. And my mission statement says that I, Paul Johnson, will live my life with honesty, integrity, and love for everyone. I vow to quietly and consistently go the extra mile in making a difference in the lives of others, exhibiting true charity as a disciple of Jesus Christ. I will use my knowledge and experience for the benefit of my family, my friends, my congregation, my community, my employer, and the kingdom of God. And so I start off saying, it is my expectation that I've already become the person described by that mission statement. If not, I need to work on those characteristics and qualities. And so some of the other things I wanted to do that I said were not touched upon by my mission statement is I wanted to lose weight. And then I really need to build my family relations. I have let too much slip because of my working so much and going to school all the time. I feel like I have kind of let my family suffer, because my ultimate goal was to try to get through schooling as quickly as I could so I could then get a decent paying job so I can provide for my family better than I have been able to, because we've been struggling pretty much all our married lives. And so I had that main goal in my head as I started going to school, that I wanted to get through quickly, but I soon realized that I was losing touch with my family because I was always in my office working on schoolwork. And so I kind of eased back on my schooling. I only have been doing 2 classes a semester. But still, a lot of the time I have to do homework and I don't have time for my family. So one of the main things I wanted to do with this accountability project was to build my family relations and to really improve that. So one of the best things that came out of this was I have been wanting for quite a while to get back to having family home evenings every Monday. And I wanted to have some one-on-one time with not only my wife, but both of my sons. Well, we had a most amazing experience. I was able to use this project as the reasoning behind scheduling a family home evening so that my son would join us. And I said, well, it's a homework assignment, so you got to help me. But we actually had our son join us for family home evening for the first time in years. And it was amazing. It was just a fun activity. We just played some board games. But the thing is, our son, he has become quite the hermit. Whenever he is home, he's just in his room and he doesn't come out for anything but to eat. And he avoids us at all costs pretty much. And whenever we do see him, he's kind of like a porcupine. So to have him join us for a family night, at first he was reluctant, but we encouraged him and said, hey, we're not going to be a lesson. We're just going to have some fun. We did some encouragement. He came out and he not only played the first game, but he wanted to play 2 more games. And it was a great experience. It was so nice. And then I've been able to spend one-on-one time with this son because he's looking to buy a car. And so we went out looking and shopping for cars and I was able to teach him some good life lessons about buying a car and stuff. So this has been the most wonderful thing from this experience. I also went on dates with my wife, and it was great to get back into doing that again. She thanked me for a few weeks for the date that we went on to go to the Tulip Festival here. And then my older son, who lives on Salt Lake on his own, he has pretty much left the church. He doesn't want anything to do with it. But I told him, we wanted to get together and just spend some time together. And he was interested in that. Then word came out that it was for a homework assignment. He's like, oh, you're just doing this because you have to. And I said, no. I've been meaning to do this for a long time. So this is good. So for him, that it was a school assignment was not the best thing to share with him. But yeah. We went out and we had such a good time together. We got to talk for the first time in a long time. I had planned to go to a park. There's a monument park I was going to go to, but he suggested we go see a movie. So we went to go see the Solo movie. But we had almost an hour before the movie started because of our timing. And so we spent the whole hour just talking, and it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. So I would say that this project ended up being successful because the most important thing I wanted to do, I was able to do. And now we're able to, schedule family home evenings and time with my kids. And it's fantastic. So that's my experience.
Wow. Thank you so much, Paul. I think it's super awesome, the fact that you had those experiences, especially because I think for a lot of us in the, having the accountability project, we for me, it was just workout, 3 times a week. And then, for 30 minutes every time that I work out or whatever. And and it's a cool goal or whatever, but the fact that you were able to get your family involved, the fact that you were able to, to get everybody to participate, I think that's what was really showing a really good leadership experience as well for that. So
yeah.
That's super cool. Okay. If y'all want to, if we want all of us to share our accountability project, and Paul, you can leave whenever you have to here, because you got to go.
Yeah, I do need to take off. So it's been great, guys. I've loved being with you guys. It's been a great group. Appreciate all your input on our discussions. It's been fun. I'm going to miss you guys. But thanks.
Good luck to you, Paul.
Bye, Paul.
Good luck, Paul.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
But yeah, so we can actually start out with the accountability projects if y'all want, or we can go into the agenda. But that way, if we get we make sure that we include everybody on time and everything if we do the accountability. first. So are y'all cool with that if we start with the accountability?
Yeah.
Perfect. That's great.
And who wants to start on that?
I can go.
Perfect.
Mine was a little more simple as far as a reporting standpoint than that, so it won't be very long. But so I've already done the assignment questions we had to answer, so I'll kind of just go through them. So the person I wanted to become, I wrote that I need to become somebody who is more interested in reading and studying the scriptures. For that reason, I am going to read the scriptures or other church publications every day. By doing this, I will be happier. I'll be more in tune with the Spirit so that He can help me become a better husband and father. I think that that's a very important thing. A little background is after my mission, I started reading the scriptures every day, and I went like over 5 years without missing a day for reading a chapter of the Book of Mormon. But the last 4 or 5 years, it's lucky if I was getting it 3 times every 2 weeks. So I wanted to make that a goal to get back in that habit. So to go through the goal and how it worked, I really think this was a good project with having the consequences and stuff set up, because what I did is I set up a consequence that I would have, if I didn't do it one day, I would have to run on the treadmill for 20 minutes the next day. And I didn't miss a single time the entire semester, because that's far worse than reading the scriptures. So as I went down through it, and I even explained that in my paper, I didn't have a single no, but that I don't want that to be a mistaken as it was too easy of a goal, because it really wasn't. It took a lot of effort, but by setting up a proper consequence, it made it so I absolutely never wanted to miss it. And throughout the semester, I could tell that it was helping me to, it was getting easier and easier to read what I should. And even though it had been about 4 years since I'd got all the way through the Book of Mormon, I will now be through it from the beginning of the semester by next Wednesday or Thursday. So it was about the perfect length of a time to do 20 minutes a day to read the entire thing. Even though I have a really hard time just sitting down and reading, I was able to make this work because I drive to and from work every day. And so I got the LDS Tools app and I got the Book of Mormon on it. And as I was driving each day to work, I would just listen to it, and really made a difference I can feel in my life. But yeah, that was my accountability project, and that's about it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jeff.
Yep.
Who wants to present next?
Yeah, I can go next. So mine, going down the list of questions that I asked that we had to write about, who I wanted to become, I said I wanted to become more like my Savior by following both of his physical and spiritual guidance that is stated in the Word of Wisdom and from what we have been counseled by the prophet and apostle as well. And then it says, present your goals and show your tracking sheet. If you guys want, I can literally email you my my document. Do you want that?
You're good. You're good.
Okay. So I'll just tell you my goals. I had 5 daily goals. It was, did I read my scriptures for at least 10 minutes? I know 10 minutes sounds low, but I had been struggling really even starting to read to begin with. So I'm like, I want to start at a reasonable goal. That's what I did. My goals are all something that's like, they're kind of hard for me, but they're reasonable to where I can get it, and hopefully I'll do more throughout the semester. My second goal was, did I eat vegetables today? Because vegetables are important, and sometimes I don't want to eat them. And then I said, did I follow up with my accountability partners? Did I make sure to keep the inside of my car clean? I have a problem with that. And did I make my bed and say my morning prayers before leaving the house? And I had 3 weekly goals. Which, did I write at least 3 entries in my journal? I hate writing in my journal. Oh, sorry. Something came up that said I lost connection. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Awesome. And it says my other goals are, did I read a conference talk, TED Talk, or my patriarchal blessing for guidance and inspiration? And these, keep in mind, these are still weekly goals. And did I accomplish being physically active for at least 150 minutes? And I said about 30 minutes for a day. Which my numbers for that were all over. Every week I did get 150 or over, but it was not 30 minutes for a day. So like one day was like 120 because it really just depended on what my family did, because we always went out and did stuff. Then I had 2 monthly goals, and those were: did I stay in touch with my siblings / siblings spouses by either texting or calling to see how they are doing? And I only have 4 siblings. And then did I go to the temple at least once, whether it be with my YSA ward or with my parents? And those are monthly goals. So going on to the third question is, did you modify your goals? No, I didn't modify my goals in any way, because in the beginning, like I already told you, I tried to word them exactly to what I felt my capabilities were. And I just wanted to expand upon them. And then
We lost her.
Yep, she's gone.
Yeah.
Where'd she go?
Her box is still there.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird. I wonder if she can hear us right now. Maybe her.
Oh, is she coming back?
Looks like it. There we are.
You're back.
sorry, I don't know what happened. Right now I'm on vacation in Moab, so I'm using my brother's Wi-Fi. So it's different. Sorry. So going back to my nose, I'm just reading exactly what I wrote. Let's see. Oh yeah, I had to address any no's. I did have some no's, which was sad because, like Jeff, I was trying super hard to get complete yeses, straight across the board, basically. Because 2 of my consequences. One of my consequences was I would run 3 miles if I didn't do it, and the other consequence is I would eat vegan style for a full 24-hour period, which started for me because I love meat and dairy and stuff. But I was, every time I did get a no, I always chose the vegan style because I despise running so much, and I'm like, I really don't want to do this. I'll do this other way. But I did have some no's only up until this last month. I've had 6 total. And my no's have been, and did I check up with my accountability partners? 5 in there and only 1. And did I make my bed? Because that was a rush that morning. But other than that, so what I tried doing for my accountability, since I was trying super hard to get all yeses and never like mess up, well, not mess up, but continue working at the goals. I had sticky notes all over my house. I had them on the window and stuff, my bedroom and stuff. So as little reminders to remind me, so that helped tremendously. Blue states number 5. I said, oh yeah, that's just following through with my consequences. I still have 2 more I have to do because I just got a couple no's yesterday because when I was out camping, I couldn't check my accountability partner sheets. So I still have to do those. So technically I'm not caught up yet, but we're doing.
Uh-oh.
Wow. Her Wi-Fi is not that great.
Pretty terrible Wi-Fi.
That's right.
Well.
All right, I'll go, and then she can. How's that? Here she is again.
Okay, here we go. One more time.
Oh, you poor thing.
I'm sorry, I don't know what's happening. It's just annoying. I'll just talk really fast to get this over with. I keep losing connection. So let's see. I felt like what did you accomplish versus what did you want to accomplish? I said, I feel that I accomplished more physically attribute goals than I did spiritual ones. I want to do more that brings me closer to Heavenly Father, especially on Sundays. Sometimes I feel like I can be doing a lot more spiritual things on Sundays than I do. Because sometimes I just get lazy and just lay in bed. I'm like, that's not really spiritual. And so, and then what I want to do different in the future is what I just talked about on Sunday. On a scale of 1 to 10, I think I did a 9 because I did try really hard. But I have been a little more lackluster at the end of the semester. That happens every semester. near the end of it, I get a little lazy because I'm just like, I want this to be over with. But and what did I learn? I learned that accountability is hard at times, but worth it. And I learned that I still kind of struggle with balancing my life because when I do homework and school and work, I have no social life. And since this last month I've been having more of a social life, that's why my school's been kind of dwindling a little bit. So I definitely need to work on that. And I think this accountability, if I continue doing this, it'll help. Oh, I might lose connection again, so I'm done.
All right, Jill, on to you then.
Okay. So let me just tell you that I'm a little OCD when it comes to goals and things that have to be done because I love to write lists. I'm a big list maker, and I love when I can check them off. I love my little check mark. My husband hates them, and so I can't make lists for him. So I thought, oh, this is kind of like that. I can do that and set some goals. So who I wanted to become and why. In life, I wanted to model all aspects of life to reflect my beliefs and my values of faith, honesty, hope, kindness, forgiveness, and love. And to remember that each day is a gift and to live each moment to its fullness. To be able to provide as much love and support to my family, friends, co-workers, and those who need it. To be willing to share my gifts and talents with others. And it's very important to me to be honest to myself and to others in all that I say, think, and do, to be a trustworthy friend and a good person. So I had, the usual goals, but one of them that, so daily, one of them I put down was to listen to appropriate music. A lot of times, you listen to what's ever on the radio and that. So at work, I would get in and I would listen to Alex Boyer. He's a gospel, does a lot of gospel music and Mercy Me. And so that really I found was great for me because it kept me calm at work because I work with the drivers and in HR. And so there's a lot of questions and a lot of, people that are likes to fight back with one another. And so it just kept me very calm. Another one that I had that I did during the week was, of course, read my scriptures, prayer. But the main thing I also did was to take 3 walks each week. We're getting ready to go to Disneyland, and due to some of my health issues, I have fibromyalgia, and so I thought I've got to get myself prepared so that I can go on this trip with my grandkids. And so I found that very important. And the other thing was a date night with my husband once a week. And because he works nights, I work days, and sometimes we cross. And so we found it very important. And the other big thing was I did for the month was, and I'm just randomly telling you, this isn't everything, but family dinner once a month with my kids. And as all 3 of my children are not active, but I find that it's still important that we have one another, and my family comes first to me. And I found that very important. And the other big thing was my mom just turned 88, and I find that and I live the closest to her, but I get so busy with my calling and work and school. I find that I don't reach out to my mom like I should. So that was one of my goals, that every week I check on her. And my monthly one was to check on, reach out to my family, my siblings. There's 6 of us. And so, but one of my big ones, and I'm so embarrassed, is, and it's my big no, we didn't get it done, was going to the temple once a month. And I used an excuse because our temple was closed. And that's not an excuse. And so that is one thing I am so upset about that I didn't get done. So I put which is not a very good reason not to attend. So I gave myself only an 8 because I felt so bad about that. And my consequences for that was that I really felt that I'd get something for my partners that, did the thing. So I've reached out to them to see what their favorite fast food place is. The other consequences was I love Diet Coke. So if I didn't do things one week, then I couldn't have a Diet Coke. But that's nothing, you know. But one thing I want you to share, and this will be it, is I found what I learned. And at General Conference in October 2014, Elder D. Todd Christopherson said, in matters both temporal and spiritual, the opportunity to assume personal responsibility is a God-given gift, without which we cannot realize our full potential as daughters and sons of God. Personal accountability becomes both a right and a duty that we must constantly defend. It has been under assault since before the creation. We must defend accountability against persons and programs that would, sometimes with the best of intentions, make us dependent. And we must defend it against our own inclines to avoid the work that is required to cultivate talents, abilities, and Christ-like characters. And that's what I feel that we did with this, is that we are we're becoming better people by this accountability. And that's what the Lord wants us to do, is to create our talents, learn more things about ourselves. And I feel that that's what this assignment did, even though I'm really mad at myself that I had a no. So everything else was okay. So that's it.
All right. Perfect. Thank you, Jim.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so for my accountability worksheet and everything here, so there was a few things that I wanted to complete during this during the past few months. So one was like I said before, working out 3 times a week. I tried to do that at least 30 minutes a day, and I actually did pretty well as far as that goes for the whole semester. Then I did have I think it was 2 no's on there, so for 2 of the weeks, which I was kind of upset at myself, just because I was either tired or just tests or studying or whatever it was. So it was pretty it was a bit of a hassle at some points, but I got through it. As far as what I wanted to become, I just said, become more fit and more active, as well as I wanted to just become a better disciple of Christ as well. Through that, and also through my other goal, which is to read the scriptures every night. As far as reading the scriptures every night, I was really surprised, because usually a lot of the times it's really hard for me, especially to read the scriptures every night, just because I'll go to bed and or like I'll be in bed and then I'll remember to read the scriptures, and by the time you're already in bed, you're just like, oh, I really want to get up and read the scriptures and do all those different things. And so that was hard for me. But I ended up doing it, I'm pretty sure, almost every day, which was a super great blessing for me, just because there was different insights I was able to get out of them every day. And I really do think I was able to be a better disciple of Christ because of it. I really do think this project helped me to do that, and it's gotten me into the habit of reading the scriptures as well. And so that was a really cool blessing as far as that goes. And I actually did want to go to the temple monthly as well, just like you, Jill. And unfortunately, I should have gone more than I actually did. I didn't end up going every month, but yeah, I wish I could have done better as far as gotten some more yeses for that one, but oh well. And then my consequence for not working out every night and just those different things was to I thought of like one of the worst consequences possible, and it came out to be clean the bathroom. So that was my consequence. So I had to do that a few times, but I would say honestly the project was a success for me, and it did change me to become a better person, I would say. Because I was able to, just increase my spirituality, as well as just, again, get more fit as well. So I would say it was a success as far as that goes. So yeah, I thought it was super cool. Okay, so we'll go ahead and switch over to the agenda here. It looks like we got about 25 minutes left. I don't think there was a ton that, as far as the questions that we had for this, but we'll we'll just go ahead and start on them here. As I was saying in the beginning of the call here, so it looks like this story problem or whatever, this story with Jamie Turner and Pat Cardullo was mainly just about them, getting into the like disputes in a sense, or just having problems with each other during their time at the company at MLI. So I want to ask y'all, go ahead and start on the first question here. What is the root problems? What are the root problems for this case? So it looks like Alexis accidentally dropped out again. So I'll ask y'all, Jeff and Jill, what do y'all think some of the root problems are in this case?
Well, first off, I think that Pat and Jamie both have different working styles. But I think Jamie went into this job with high expectations, and with a rapid growth, work challenges, full anonymity, and most of all, he was very impressed with the initial interview with Pat. But he starts out and he ran into some personal conflicts with Pat right off, and I think a lot of it was, like I said, I think it's their work style, and they have different ways of working. They need to figure out how to work together.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Jeff?
Yeah, I definitely saw the same things. I'm hoping I'll be able to remember it pretty good this week, because I read it, but I took my, what did you call that, tender mercy, and so I didn't write anything on it, so my remembrance won't be as good. But yeah, what Jill said really stood out to me, where it sounded to me like it was being written from his perspective, and he pretty much was saying, I've got this promotion as soon as this guy goes, as if it was a done deal, whereas nothing that it was showing that wasn't from his perspective directly said that. So I think he went into it expecting more than what was promised. And then on top of that, I don't know if the communication's great from his boss as well. He seemed to just leave things out in the open and figure it out for yourself.
Yeah, that's actually what I noticed as well. It was kind of interesting, because I was thinking the biggest problems was, again, I wrote on my for the assessment or whatever, I wrote that the biggest problem that they were having was just communication between each other. Because honestly, there was just a lot of different things going on all at once. I feel like, just like you were saying, Jeff, Jamie was given, or James Turner was given a whole bunch of just different responsibilities all at once. And I feel like Pat Cardullo was kind of just like pushing all those responsibilities on Jamie, or on James. Because he just didn't want to do it, and he was just like, oh, here you go. Like, he was just giving all the problems, pushing all the responsibilities on Turner. So I felt like that was kind of a root problem in and of itself. And to catch you up, Alexis, so we're talking about root problems of the case for James Turner. I'm glad you're able to get the Wi-Fi working again.
I'm on my mobile hotspot. So
so we can actually go on to the next question as well here. So it says, how did Turner get himself into this predicament? And then what is going on for Cardullo? So Alexis, do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, first talking about Cardullo, so the entire time I read this, I was like, wow, what a bad boss. But because at first he seemed like chill, but almost too, and now he seems like incredibly controlling and like angry and anxious. And I think Cardullo is more focused on getting on the next higher step of the leadership run, that he's not focusing on really where he is, since he was advised to stay full-time completely at MLI, but he kept going back to Triple S throughout the week. And I don't know if to stay in touch or something, or I don't know, he just seems way too controlling. But I think it's because his focus isn't where it's supposed to be. So I think that's what's going on with him. And how did Turner get himself into this predicament? I don't know, by saying yes to too much to try and please Cardullo in the beginning, maybe. Because he said that every time he got new assignments, they talked about something in there, I think, that how he was feeling overwhelmed or stressed. Because Cardullo kept giving him new things. It's like, okay, well then tell him that there's too much and that you're becoming overwhelmed. Don't just keep saying yes. So there's a lack of communication and a lack of focus, I feel like.
Definitely. Yeah, I could definitely see that as well. One of the biggest things that I don't know, it just made me cringe because I've seen different things like this in the workplace where just like somebody's been given a lot of responsibility, or just like there's not a lot of clear communication. There's not a lot of just like, there's just a lot going on all at once. And so having all that being displayed to someone, it was just like, ugh, it made me cringe. We can actually go on to the next question as well here. So it says, what did Pat Cardullo and Jamie Turner each initially bring to the situation at MLI that would seem to ensure success or failure? Who wants to comment on that one?
Mike can. As far as Jamie Turner, he kept mentioning in there how he didn't want to be viewed as someone that just hops from job to job. But kind of the truth of it was he was hopping from job to job, that things haven't worked out in past situations. And I think it may have more been his attitude towards hopping job to job. I just heard a couple of weeks ago that people who hop from job to job make more money than their counterparts who don't. But he had the attitude that was a bad thing, and he was so worried about that I think his main concern was getting a boss that he thought was so cool so that he wouldn't have to worry about doing that in the future. And then when things started to sour somewhat, it fell apart quickly.
Right. I think one of the big things for me in this, as far as the successes or failures, there was a point in the article whenever Pat Cardullo, he was like talking to the group of people that were in the room or whatever, and he was just talking about the working style. And I forgot the guy's name, but he was really upset with the sales guy. Do y'all remember the guy's name?
Oh, Kelly, I think it was.
What was that?
Kelly?
That's right. Yeah, Tim Kelly. So he was really upset with that guy. And so, after a while, after the meeting was over or whatever, he said something around the lines of, I want y'all to remember that I'm still the boss here. And that in and of itself is like, I don't think the best thing to say in a lot of situations. Cause like, I had that on my mission as well. Just like people that were in leadership, that would be like, just remember that I'm the zone leader here, and you need to make sure that you're following my instructions and everything. And it just gives off a bad vibe. So I would say that was the biggest failure on Pat Cardullo's part. I don't know if y'all saw that as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question here. It says, what were the key choice points where either of them could have done things differently? So what could they have done? What could they have done differently to make it a better situation, leadership, as far as their leadership, or as far as just following orders or whatever?
I think that they should have communicated better. And then also right when Jamie Turner started to see an issue with Pat Cardullo, because this had been going on for, I think, a couple months, he should have been, I don't want it to make it sound like I want him to tattle, but he at least should have like told someone higher up that like, hey, this is what's happening. It's affecting the company. It's affecting the workers, and maybe even have some of the workers like, because it's like, Pat Cardullo in the beginning, like he was a good boss, like, and he did things well, and then maybe he got stressed out with things, and then it all started going downhill. But I just feel like there is a lack of communication, like most dealings are when there's issues. because I just kept thinking of the book that we just read, The Five Dysfunctions of a Team, and how there wasn't really any conflict. Because they said that like they seemed to have a good connection when they met, but there wasn't really a lot of conflict because once Jamie Turner would kind of bring something up, Cardullo would be like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna do that," and then later he'd be like, "Oh, we're not gonna do that," and Turner would just get kind of irritated and upset. But there was no actual conflict of trying to resolve the thing. It was just like, well, okay, I guess Pat said this, so now I can't change it. It's like, come on, it's like you have some stuff in your ability to change that. So I thought that was silly. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I saw kind of a similar thing too. One of the biggest things that I noticed with this is, as far as what they could have done differently, is the fact that they just weren't expressing their opinions to each other. They weren't expressing clear enough opinions, but also understanding the other point of view from the other person. So, for instance, in the case of Kelly. Pat Cardullo wanted him to be fired. He wanted him to be out. He didn't want to have him in the workplace anymore, anything like that. And he was, expressing all these different views. And then Jamie Turner was just like, well, great. And like, didn't really, I feel like he didn't say enough as far as like wanting to keep Tim Kelly on board. So I feel like one of the best things that he could have done as far as Turner is whenever they like I would say just have a one-on-one conversation with Pat Cardullo and be like, okay, look, so let's talk about Tim Kelly. Maybe if they met together and while they were talking, Cardullo, he obviously wants him fired or whatever, and he gives his reasoning, and then Jamie Turner was like, okay, I understand this. Why I understand you on this and this and this. I also think that. He's been a good influence for the sales team because of this and this and this, and just expressed his views. Because I think as far as when it comes to communication, as far as when it comes to doing things differently, again, like we've said, it's one of the biggest things is communicating and make sure you're communicating effectively. But I think while you're communicating, also understanding the other person's point of view. Because if you're just only thinking about yourself and like you're only your own point of view, then it's going to come off as combative to the other people. It's going to come off as, pushy or whatever. So that's one of the biggest things that I saw differently. And Jeff and Jill, what did you all see as far as things they could have done differently as well?
Well, I think Turner should talk to Fedeli regarding his outburst in front of the employees. I mean, that was uncalled for. And he needs to also express his concern about failure of management structure. He should come up with an idea and meet together, which he was trying to do at the beginning of the thing, and meet together and let's communicate between one another. I think Pat is kind of a hothead, and so Turner's probably not as much, but I think Fedeli needs to let Turner do his job in some ways, and then let's communicate together what they want done.
Exactly. And Jeff,
yeah, I agree with all that. I really think that the whole team was dysfunctional. That was it Kelly that I don't remember for sure. There was one person that it kept mentioning that it said that they would agree with Turner all the time when they were talking, but then when they'd get in front of the boss, had complete different opinion, would agree with whatever Cardullo said. So stuff like that's a big problem.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I definitely saw that as well. I think it was Kelly as well, but I don't remember for sure. But yeah, that was definitely one of the biggest problems I saw as well. And then the last question here, which it sounds like from what y'all been saying that we would agree on this, but it says, how, if at all, should Turner approach Cardullo at the end of the case? So I'll go ahead and say what I think here. So as far as if he should, I definitely think that would be a big thing. When it ended the article and it was saying how Cardullo was like walking up to Turner's office, I was thinking it was sounding like he was gonna like fire Turner for whatever reason or whatever. So I was thinking that's not necessarily the best situation or end to this article here, but yeah, I definitely think they should obviously communicate better with each other. They should definitely talk about all the different problems that have been going on, just like the whole dysfunction of the whole team, just everything, all the problems that's been happening, and then come up with a solution to make it better. Whether that be just like I don't know, different incentives in the workforce, or just different hiring new team members, anything like that. Honestly, after reading the whole article, I was thinking Jamie Turner was just going to quit and just be like, no, I'm done here. But yeah, I definitely think they should talk with each other. So what do y'all think for that one? Do you think Turner should approach Cardullo, and why?
Oh, he definitely needs to have a meeting with him. He definitely needs to. One thing I kind of put in mind is where was the job description? One thing I think that Turner kind of should have done is maybe research the company more. But he had such a great first interview. Who among us wouldn't be, oh, this sounds like a great company. I want to be a part of it, whatever. But once he started, where was his job description? Where was his, okay, you are over this and you have the final say over this project, and I think Cardullo wanted to have all of his hands in everything, and he needed to give up a little bit and let Turner do his job in some ways. And so they definitely need to sit down, communicate, and find out what his job description is and what they expect of him.
Perfect.
I agree with Jill. I think Pat was a bit of a busybody.
Yes.
And also that when they have their conversation, I feel I'm trying to remember, because I wrote my paper like Sunday evening, so it's been a while, I feel like. But when they had their conversations basically just one-on-one, for the most part, I think if I remember this correctly, it went pretty well. It was in like meetings when they would kind of jab each other and not be as friendly. And so I think that he needs, when he does have that one-on-one meeting with him, it doesn't always work. This is just a suggestion I'm throwing out because it worked with my dad the other day, is that you point out the list of everything that's going on that's not working and why. You back it up. So then they can see like, oh, this is what's going on. Like, because some people, when I know I've done this before, when I make a mistake, sometimes I don't really see it as a mistake until someone points it out to me. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that was kind of wrong of me, wasn't it? And not to be, my dad is a great guy. I'm just using him as an example. On our vacation, there's a couple times when he was a pessimist about things and a cynic, and he wouldn't even try. And this is like little things too. It's where like I had like a backpacking tent I was staying in, but I had like this big sleeping mat because I wanted to be comfortable. And he's like, it's not going to fit in there. I'm like, Dad, it'll fit. And he's like, it's not going to fit. And my mom's like, you haven't even tried. And then there's something else with like carrying my nephew in a backpack style. And he's like, that's not going to work. Or putting him tarp up, that's not going to happen. And I'm like, dude, like, why are you being such a cynic? So after like the 4th time of him doing that, me and my mom called him out on it. And we're like, Dad, you've been kind of a cynic sometimes. Like, you say this isn't going to work, which it did. You said this wasn't going to happen, which it did. And so, and like, we did all this stuff we point out. And he's like, wow, you're right. I have been kind of cynical this trip. It's like, yeah, what's going on? And so sometimes pointing that out can help. But then again, since Pat is a bit of a hothead, that could go against him or go against Turner if he does that. But I don't know. Sometimes, I know for me, at least when things are pointed out, I always want to try and do better to correct that. So that was a suggestion that just came to my head.
Definitely. Jill, and Jeff, I have a question for you as well. This as far as last comments here, because I'm curious. As far as when you were on the committee board or whatever, what was that called again?
The school board.
The school board, yeah. As far as when you were on the school board, were you able to resolve those different issues? Because I remember you talking about it before, and you were saying how there was like a lot of different conflicts between you and the other people, or just like disagreements? So like how were you able to work that out?
Yeah, well, that could be like a 4-hour discussion, but it kind of depends on the different circumstances. So I'll pick the biggest one I had the entire time on the school board. So we were putting up bonds for building a new high school right when I got on the board. And the first one they wanted to do was a $92 million bond to build a high school, a middle school, some additions throughout the district, lots of other projects, and they wanted to finance it on a 30-year bond. And it was going to cost a total of $113 million in interest on top. So the grand total was $205 million. Now, being a staunch conservative, that's something I just couldn't go for. But they weren't very keen onto that idea since everybody else was, so they just ran forward with it, and I did my thing, and it got 43% of the vote when it needed 67. Where the conflict came in is they tried roundabout and semi-unethical ways of going after me to try to get the public to turn on me, and to even started calling for recall elections and stuff. In a situation like that, and I mentioned that because of this story, if things aren't really going your way, sometimes you have to look for outside help. Kind of as Alexa said, going up the chain. Well, up the chain when you're on a school board, there's only one thing above a school board, and that's the voters. So I hit it hard in the mouth, and I went to the news media, got on the radio, and all of a sudden the whole community turned on the rest of the board.
You go, man.
I got a lot of support that way. A couple of the other board members saw that I was willing to stand up for myself and realized that I was doing things based on my own convictions and that I wasn't just trying to be a problem. And those votes led later on to them electing me to be the chairman of the board. So when you stand up for yourself, it's a whole different thing. But Turner was in a different situation than I was. He was a subordinate to the boss that he was having a problem with. There were people there that wanted to treat me like I was their subordinate, but being an elected official, there was nothing they could do to me. Mm-hmm. So lots of different things. In other situations, you just got to talk to people. I had other times where I disagreed with people, and that was later bonds, which I ended up supporting. I didn't completely agree with how they wanted to do it, but you've got to compromise. And so we would sit down and have conversations, and we built a coalition of a few of us that said this is what we should do, and that made a majority. And we went to the meeting and said, here's what we're going to do. The administration didn't like it much. They never liked me in the end because they had a history of being followed by the board where that's not the way it's set up. And so, yeah, I mean, you just got to hit things full approach. And what I was going to say on what Turner should do in this end case, when he was coming to him, I think he needs to sit him down and say, look, here's what my expectations were coming in. Was I wrong? And he needs to go through all that with him and get a roadmap laid out, because if it's not going to work out, he's far better off to leave now than to spend 4 more years at a company and be blindsided and have 4 more years to make up somewhere else later on.
Not to mention 4 more years of just having to go through lots more problems and not enjoy the job at all.
Yep, exactly.
Perfect. Well, that is all the questions for today. So unless there's any last comments here, I think we're all wrapped up. And I appreciate this whole semester, guys, of meet and to get to know y'all a little bit better. And
you're all registered for next semester?
Yes, I am.
Yep.
Any interesting classes?
All accounting classes for me. So.
Oh yeah.
Same.
I'm a little nervous about one. Mine's a DNA class. I'm like, why do I have to take DNA?
Yuck.
Really?
I know. We'll see how that goes.
Is it part of your like the science part of the general classes?
Yes.
Has anyone else had the grad plan fall apart this week?
Fall apart?
Like not work anymore?
Yeah.
Oh.
Any class that starts with a B for business, it won't let you schedule more than 2 semesters in the future.
Yeah. So I actually talked to to the people on campus about that because I had that for my accounting classes and I thought it was super weird. They just said it's temporarily down. They apparently like they switched some sort of server or something like some sort of internship program or something with that,
Okay.
and it shut everything down. And so it'll come back up. It's just temporary. So
I'm glad you were able to get a hold of them. I got a hold of them and they said they'd pass it on. I never heard back from them.
yeah, I had to talk to a lot of people to do it, but yeah, they just said don't worry about it. Like it'll be back up by next semester, so don't worry.
Okay.
Okay.
Jill, aren't you taking an econ principles and class?
No, I'm taking a conflict and management one, or
Oh.
conflict and negotiation one next time, and then DNA.
Yep.
So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I just need our break right now, and you get this break over, get this wedding over with, and then let's go.
No
Cool.
kidding. 7-week break. Here we come.
That's right.
I
Yeah.
have a question real
Right.
quick. Are we supposed to turn in again our accountability project sheet?
Yes.
Because it said like to turn in the document, but where do we turn in the sheet?
So I asked her about that because to me it looked like a Word document was the absolute best. And she said that on that number 2, I could just put a link to it.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Well, I did a PowerPoint presentation. Isn't that? Can't you just submit that?
Oh, yeah, that was one of the options, but that didn't look very easy to me. So
Oh, I love PowerPoint.
I thought it'd be easier to just send her the Google Doc again. I thought,
there you go.
but I asked her and she said yes.
Okay.
Right, awesome. Thank you.
Hey,
So I was like, I will put it.
All right.
good luck, you guys.
Yep.
Thanks, you
Be
too.
great. See ya. Bye.
Bye.